Joining me today over a coffee at the Office Cafe in Brussels, Maria João Rodrigues, Social Democrats Vice President. We talk about the new Eurogroup President, the digital revolution, and building Europe's social pillar. The new Eurogroup President, it's a big win for Portugal, a big win for you as well. Are you pleased?
Of course. It was a very long story. There are no miracles in politics. So we worked so hard, first of all, to have a new way to deal with Eurozone issues. Because we believe that we need to have new bridges to overcome big divergences which were there. They started as financial divergences, when to invest in a country was much more expensive than investing in another country. Then social divergences, when you have unemployment rate at 40% in one region and 4% in another region, something is badly wrong. And then it became a kind of political divergences, very dangerous for the European Union as a whole.
The new Eurogroup President is described as to the left of Dijsselbloem. Do you think that's correct?
Well, he's a typical Portuguese in the sense that he can listen to all sides of the problem, and I'm sure that he will play a very constructive role, but with a clear direction. And the clear direction is Eurozone is not only an area for stability, should be an area for growth and upward economic and social convergence.
You know the man himself. He's Harvard-trained economist. What do we expect from him? What should we expect from him in terms of his handling that's going to be different this time?
Well, he's certainly very well trained. He's well equipped to deal with technical discussions. But here, what really matters is the political positioning. And I believe he has a good combination of high-level qualification to deal with the issues, which are very complex, but also this capacity to listen to different sides of the round table to come with new solutions.
Is this the end of austerity, or are we going to see a repackaging of austerity?
Well, it could prove in the Portuguese case that it is possible to start turning the page of austerity by bringing growth back to a country, while at the same time completing fiscal consolidation, reducing the deficit and the debt. This is possible, but we are at the half of this task. Because in order to complete the task, we need to change the way the economic and monetary union as a whole works. That's why the reform now coming is so important.
And that's just one reform. You've spoken in the past about reforming Europe and what needs to be done for the future of Europe. What needs to be done?
Well, I think the good starting point to reform Eurozone is the European social pillar, which was proclaimed some weeks ago. And this is important because it is saying that all citizens in the European Union should count on updated social standards. Then, if this is to be true, we need to deliver on this. And this means to have the means to support decent wages, good pensions, and most of all, create quality jobs. And investment is decisive, and that's why Eurozone needs to deliver this investment.
And part of that policy must be the industrial strategy for Europe as well, the digital economy. What do you think is really critical to achieving this transformation? We have robots which are going to replace a lot of jobs, and most people don't seem to appreciate the speed at which that's going to happen. How does Europe deal with that?
Well, we are certainly dealing with a new phase of the digital revolution, which is bringing a lot of changes in the way we live and the way we work. And we could basically have three choices. Either we say, we don't like this, let's stop, but frankly this is impossible. Or we could say, let's accept as it is. I believe as a social democrat that we need to welcome technological progress, because this is improving people's lives, but we need to frame it in such a way that we have good working conditions.
But these working conditions vary vastly across Europe as well. again, we risk a divergence of economic conditions and this tension between the north and south, even east and west, as this moves forward. Does this risk destabilizing the European Union as a project if we don't get it right?
Of course, we need to come with better solutions, and the better solutions, they need European scale most of the time. Let me tell you, when it comes to the digital revolution, we have now many sectors being transformed by online platforms, millions of people working for these online platforms. But if you want to avoid a race to the bottom of these people competing to each other, we need to define European basic rules, a level playing field. And I believe that everybody working for online platforms should count on two basic guarantees. One is transparent and decent labor contract, and the second is full access to social protection. Even this is a self-employed, or even this is a small entrepreneur.
Why is it so difficult for you to get the message across at the moment? Socialist leader after socialist leader is finding it really tough to get through to the electorate. What's the hindrance?
Because Social Democrats need to update their agenda. When coping with the digital revolution, when coping with the new pressures coming from a global economy, when coping now with the pressure coming from the migration waves. So all these areas, Social Democrats, they need to be vocal on stronger solutions which require European scale. So Social Democrats, they need to come up with stronger European solutions to lead pro-European progressive forces.
Do you think also there's an issue of discipline? Many people, analysts I would speak to, they say that the centre-right has a much stronger party discipline in Brussels and across Europe as well. Do you see this problem with the Social Democrats? Do you need a stronger sense of direction and discipline as a working group?
Well, I would say not. Discipline is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to agree on a common direction. I can tell you, we were now together in Lisbon to define the common direction of this family. This remains a very important family if you combine the political weight we have in the European Council, European Parliament, national parliaments, local level, extremely important, and all our alliances with the stakeholders of the civil society.
You like art, from what I understand as well. What kind of art draws your attention most?
I was taking art courses, and I was thinking about being architecture. And now I'm trying to make a kind of architecture in politics. This is in fact. But just to give an example, I believe that art creation comes before all the other forms of creation, including in science and politics. And if I give an example, if you think about someone like Kandinsky, and you put him in the historical context, you understand that he came before big revolutions in science and politics. And I believe that art is really the first way for humankind to invent something new.
What do you think was new about Kandinsky? What did he lead with?
Well, it's the capacity to think about eternity. So going beyond our references of time and space and creating new shapes, new relationships, a strong dynamics.
Do you think your view of art informs your view of politics in terms of what's possible, whereas others would see a very practical reality in front of them and see the limitations of day-to-day business?
No, absolutely it influences, because let me give another example. Picasso with the Cubist revolution is extremely important for politics because you have the same object, but you can have different views of the same object depending on the perspective. And this is a decisive art to make politics, because you need to understand the others and then to come with a possible compromise.
If you write a book in the future, I'm guessing there's capacity to have a chapter on the art of politics or the architecture of politics as well. João Rodrigues,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.